this post-Soviet Union Russia, this Russia which was crumbling when the Soviet Union collapsed, within a brief span of 20-something years, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shown His capacity to help. And this Russia has grown now to a position where it is so powerful. Look at what has happened. The Western world has been ruling over mankind for the last 300 years or more, and changing regimes all over the world, willy-nilly, particularly in South and Central America. They use the Monroe Doctrine. This is our backyard. Nobody comes into our backyard. And so they've been changing regimes willy-nilly all over Central and South America for the last 200 years. Why have they not been able to change the regime in Venezuela, the government of Venezuela? Because it's an elected government. Why? Answer, they've done everything they could do. There's nothing else they can do now. But they've not been able to change the Venezuelan government, the legitimate Venezuelan government. Why? Because they cannot invade. There's no military option. Why is there no military option when this is in your backyard? The answer is that if they try to change the government of Venezuela through a military intervention, they'll have to face Russia. And they don't want to face Russia because Russia is not Libya. Russia is too powerful for them. That's why they have not been able to invade Venezuela. Number two, we have pointed out that Russia took a tremendously dangerous step when Russia intervened to save Syria. It could have led to nuclear war. But with indescribable courage and integrity, and with the entire people of the Russian Federation supporting their government, Russia intervened in Syria and blasted the bogus jihad, the ISIS jihad, which was created and funded and manufactured by the CIA and by the puppy dogs of the CIA, by Saudi Arabia, by Qatar, and of course, who else? Turkey. Turkey was up to the neck in the effort to overthrow the Syrian government. And Russia has succeeded. The Western world have never known this before. There's a force so powerful that they can defeat the West. And that's what Russia did in Syria. But the one that hurt the most, for the West was when they suffered the greatest defeat in the entire history of modern Western civilization. And that is in 2014 when they lost Crimea. Russia took Crimea, or rather took back Crimea, because Crimea belonged to Russia. Russia took back Crimea in 2 weeks without firing a shot. And for this, they have never forgiven themselves. Russia is now facing this bitter hatred and envy from the West because of the power that Russia now has, and Russia is not prepared to bend on its knee and submit to them. The West has suffered yet another defeat in Afghanistan, and it was a humiliating defeat. They have only themselves to blame for almost 20 years. So many they have killed in Afghanistan, and yet they were defeated. Afghanistan is known as the graveyard of the superpowers. And now what is happening is that there is an incremental effort, beginning with the regime change in Ukraine in 2014, to bring Ukraine into NATO. If Ukraine ever becomes a NATO member state, then Russia will have NATO on its very border, and NATO's missiles, nuclear missiles, can hit Moscow in a matter of minutes. This is not a security option that Russia is prepared to accept at all. And so Russia has put its foot down. This is our red line. Whether you accept our red line or you don't accept Russia's decision. And Russia has every right to ensure its security.